Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I actually had to think about that for a minute. Chad and Stephanie. Let me tell you something. Since day one, Stephanie has pretty much kind of set herself up to fail. Okay? I don't know what made her think that not only was he a grieving widow, but the the woman that he was with was your cousin. Like, on what planet did she make did she think that she was going to ever compete with Abby's love? And there was so many instances where we were just like, like she said, constantly pulling away from her and stuff, and her wanting more than what Chad was willing to give. Truth of the matter is, they never sat down and had the honest conversation that they needed to have about marriage. Where did they see themselves going? Things of that nature. In a minute that Chad said that, he's not planning on getting married anytime soon, right then and there, that's when she should have just sat there and be like, this isn't for me. Let me exit from the situation. But she didn't. She kept just hanging out and hanging on to hope that eventually he will sit there and change his mind. So I'm glad that they had this conversation. I really am. What I'm more shocked by was I expected more tears coming from her. In a way, it almost seemed like she was kind of relieved a little bit, because she's been making allowances for him for far too long. And, even things like the fact that she couldn't even sit there and wear a costume because it reminded him of what his ex-wife, of what his dead wife wore, was more than enough. We were just like, this ain't gonna work out. So I'm glad. I'm glad. And again, she seemed like I expected her to be more crying, more in tears, more distraught or anything like that, but she was sad and she was bummed, but it was more like, this really sucks, you know? But a sign of relief. Now, not this whole time when she walked out the pub, there was some guy, some person, or girl, some person that was there watching her. And when Stephanie opened the door thinking it was trick-or-treaters, I guess she was surprised by who it was. Now, she wasn't there talking about the person that quote-unquote ghosted her. And maybe it's that person. I don't know. Gabby and Stefan did feel like it was kind of dark what they were doing. It did feel like it was kind of dark what they were doing. But it was like the ends justify the means. And they got Kristen, because, Kristen was there hanging out with EJ, and she was like, I don't really know. I don't know about to give you my shares or whatever. I'll think about it. And she goes back to the house. And then pretty much Gabby and Stefan blackmail her. She is pissed, right? Like, she looks at Stefan like, you really betrayed me, you know? Because Kristen was the one that pretty much got, she pretty much fought to sit there and get Stefan back alive. So to sit there and see him do this, and to do this because of mostly her, was just like, wow. They did wind up deleting the footage. They just want to get the shares. Now, this is this is where things get kind of dicey, right? Because Brady, let's be honest, he doesn't really have any friends. I don't know where Eric is at, and I feel like this is something you can find in Eric, not Marlena. Okay, he literally told Marlena, "Oh yeah, Steffi and Gabby is there making Crystal look like a bad mom." What do you think that Marlena's going to sit there and say? Do you think she's going to be like, "Oh, high five"? Like, no. So she was there saying like, "Yo, what you're doing is wrong. All this is wrong. Point blank. Period." It didn't matter. Like I said, the ends justifies the means. So Marlena left. Gabby and Stefan came over, and they pretty much just like, "Yeah, we ain't gonna sit there and give you custody. We just used you at this point. You know, and of course he was pissed off, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for you. Brady, Brady, Brady. From day one, I used to sit there and call him an idiot. It's nice to know that things didn't really change that much. Um, wow. Let me just double check my notes for a minute. Steve was sitting there wondering if he did the right thing by interfering in Stephanie's relationship. And normally I have a huge issue with parents that want to sit there and butt into their children's relationship. I generally have an issue with that because I'm just like, let them handle this. You don't need to sit there and be there. I get that that's your kid, but they're a grown adult. Let them figure it out. This is probably the very few instances where I'm just like, he did the right thing. Because in all reality, the minute that Steve um, confronted Chad, Stephanie got to sit there and open up about how she really felt. It's kind of a shame because she would have probably saved herself a lot of time, a lot of heartache, if she just would have been honest about her intentions. And she's been feeling like that for a while. And I think she might have felt like that even before the whole he's not really down to get married and stuff. But that's something that brought it home. And you would think at that point, yeah, this isn't gonna work. But she still decided to stay in a relationship with a man that she knew that most likely wasn't going to get married. And even when you were talking, he was like, "Yeah, we're going to get married. I love you eventually." Like, what? What are you doing? I mean, granted, I get it from Chad's point of view to some extent because no one likes to feel like they're being blindsided, right? And that's happened to me, and it's not a fun feeling. And you feel like you're getting yourself, you feel defensive, which is why he said what he said as far as, oh, well, you didn't lose a dead wife or whatever. Because it's like, well, if you would have talked to me about this, then we would have sat there and hashed this out. Instead of me feeling like I'm being blindsided by you and your dad. Just effed up all around. Kayla didn't really do too much of anything. And, well, I feel like that's pretty much about it. And of course, now EJ's upset because he comes back and he finds out that Kristen already gave her shares to Stefan and Gabby. Um, yeah, I feel like that's about it. It's funny. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if I'm actually going to do a review on B&B. There wasn't really much that wound up happening, unfortunately. I mean, I know it's 18 minutes, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, they could have did something more. Um, I feel like that's about it. If I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, Born the Beautiful, and Young and the Restless. And with that being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.